Good morning, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Joanne Taranto.
And I'm Tom Matthews. And this week we want to talk to buyers, and we want to talk about the importance of saving for a down payment, particularly in the environment we're in right now. So Joanne, why don't you talk to a little people about, how the down payment affects people's offers?
Yeah, so having a down payment for a home is a really exciting time. You obviously are pretty diligent about your finances and you're saving a little bit every month. But what a lot of people don't understand is that down payments vary, right? So you could have as little as 0% down if you are a veteran and take advantage of a veteran's loan. Or you could do FHA, which has as little as 3.5. There are some conventional programs that have 10% down or 15% down. Or you could have, kind of the old standby, which is 20% down to put on a house to qualify for true conventional financing. And there's a lot of variation in how you save for that and how you present it in an offer. So a buyer that has 5% down stacked up in competition against a buyer who has 20% down is not as competitive. And the reason that they're not as competitive is because you have less flexibility within the loan scenario to make adjustments if the appraisal comes in low, or you have some money saved over to put a little bit more down at the end of the transaction. So Tom, if you have 5% down versus 15 or 20% down, what do you think? How do you think a seller will look at that?
A seller is going to look at that and they're going to be nervous. What's going to happen, with this buyer? Do they have the reserves after they buy it to be able to close the loan? And so, but again, right now we're in a climate where there are more buyers than there are sellers.
Right.
So the sellers have the ability to be picky. But
Yes.
I don't want to discourage people who have only 5% down, because the home sellers and home buyers guide that the National Association of Realtors put out for 2021 said that the average home buyer put 7% down. So
Wow.
It's not that you can't buy with a low down payment, but you will look differently in the eyes of a seller. So it depends. I feel that how a seller will look at your offer will depend on how many offers they have.
Right.
Because if they have one offer, they're going to be like, hey, I got an offer. Let's work with this buyer.
Right.
But if I have 10 offers and there are 8 of them with 20% down, they're not going to even look at your offer, most likely.
Yeah.
So we have to look at ways to stand out and to make the seller more comfortable. One of the things you can do, if you have 5% down, probably the best advice we can give you is to talk to your lender about doing a pre-commitment letter, which means that you've gone through the full underwriting process, which is what you would normally do after you get a purchase and sale, and it's only subject to an appraisal. I think that would really help buyers out, because now you say to the seller, listen, my tax returns, my income, my debt, everything's been verified by the bank. All I need is an appraisal. Right. So Joanne, how can a good buyer's agent mitigate the appraisal risk?
Yeah, so there's more to offers than just price and down payment. There are terms. So let's say, for example, you have a 5% down buyer who is, living at home with mom and dad. That's the best scenario, is that they're living at home with mom and dad, and they say, I'm able to give the seller time to close on this house with me and then let them stay in the house for up to 2 months afterwards. That could be a huge asset to a seller, because if you think about it from a selling perspective, you may say, oh gosh, I'm going to close on my house. I still have to buy another one. I might have to move twice, and moving twice has cost associated with it and nuisance. So, that buyer could use that piece of information that they have some flexibility to create some leverage in their favor in the negotiation. So thinking about different ways that you can I guess in this market, I would call it problem solving for the seller, like knowing what their situation is on the other side of the transaction.
Yeah, I think that's really important, like having your agent ask the seller questions and trying to position you, like Joanne said, because an offer is comprised of more than just price. It's about the terms and how you structure it and how you present it to the seller. And so we
That's
just want to kind of give you some, for the buyers out there, just give you some thought, some confidence that if you don't have a big down payment, there are tools you can do to position yourself and just to help prepare you, because this market is very competitive.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm Joanne Taranto.
And I'm Tom Matthews. Cheers.
Cheers.